The ocean is a master of secrets, but few are as haunting as the one that unfolded in December 1900. Welcome to the Black Box today. We travel to the Flannan Isles, a remote, rugged cluster of rocks off the wild western coast of Scotland. This is a place where the wind doesn't just blow, it screams. Perched on the highest point of the main island, Ellen Moore stood a brand new lighthouse, a beacon of safety in a treacherous sea. Inside, three experienced keepers, Thomas Marshall, James Duquette, and Donald MacArthur, had one solemn mission: to keep the light burning. Their lives depended on routine, on the steady, predictable turn of the lamp. But on a cold winter night, the light went out. A passing ship first noted the darkness on December 15th, but it would be days before anyone could reach the isolated outpost. When a relief crew finally managed to land, they found no bodies, no signs of a struggle, and no note explaining the absence. All they found was a deafening, unnerving silence that still chills the bones of investigators and armchair detectives over a century later. What happened to the three men of Ellen Moore? Join me as we unlock one of the greatest maritime mysteries of all time. On December 26th, after days of being battered by rough seas, the relief ship Hesperus finally anchored in the small landing east of Lanmore. The relief keeper, Joseph Moore, was supposed to be greeted by the familiar faces of his colleagues. Instead, he was met with an eerie stillness. The island was quiet, too quiet. No flag flew from the mast. No provision boxes were left on the landing stage, ready to be restocked. An unsettling feeling began to creep into the hearts of the crew. Moore blew the ship's whistle and fired a flare into the gray sky, but there was no response. He then rowed ashore alone, his boots crunching on the wet rock as he began the long, winding climb up the steep stairs carved into the cliff face, leading to the lighthouse. What he discovered felt like a scene frozen in time, a tableau of ordinary life interrupted by something extraordinary. The main door to the living quarters was unlocked, but the inner door was shut tight. Inside, the kitchen was immaculately clean. The ashes in the fireplace were cold, suggesting the fire hadn't been lit for days. On the table, a meal of salted mutton and potatoes was laid out, ready for a dinner that was never eaten. An overturned chair lay on the floor, the only sign of any kind of hurry or disturbance. A clock on the wall had stopped. Its silent hands seemed to mock the very idea of time. But the most disturbing clue was hanging by the door. Two sets of oilskins, the heavy waterproof gear essential for survival against the brutal North Atlantic weather, were gone. But the third set, belonging to Donald MacArthur, a tough and seasoned mariner, remained on its hook. Why would a veteran keeper, of all people, venture out into what was supposedly a lethal storm without his protective coat? The mystery was only just beginning. When investigators finally gained access to the lighthouse's official logbook, the words scribbled on the pages didn't offer answers. They deepened the enigma, painting a picture of escalating dread and psychological breakdown. The entries, penned by Thomas Marshall, began normally, but on December 12th the tone shifted dramatically. Marshall wrote of a monstrous storm, a tempest with winds so severe, the likes of which he had never witnessed in his 20 years of service. He described his fellow keeper, the normally stoic James Duquette, as being very quiet, his face pale and drawn. More chillingly, he wrote that the third keeper, Donald MacArthur, a man known for being a hard, experienced sailor who feared nothing, was crying, weeping like a child in the face of the gale. The log entries continued in this vein for 2 days, a chronicle of fear and despair as the men huddled together, praying for the storm to pass. The final, almost illegible entry on December 15th read, "Storm ended, sea calm, God is over all." Here's where the story takes a terrifying turn. Subsequent investigations and checks with the Scottish Mainland Weather Office revealed a chilling inconsistency. During the days Marshall described this apocalyptic storm, from December 12th to the 14th, the weather in the region was perfectly clear. The seas were calm. There was no storm. So what were these men seeing? What phantom tempest was so powerful that it brought a hardened sailor to tears? Was it a shared delusion, a folie à trois born from isolation, or were they witnessing something else entirely, something not of this world? So, what really happened? Let's analyze the theories. The official explanation, concluded by the Northern Lighthouse Board, is that a giant rogue wave was the culprit. The theory goes that on the 15th, after the supposed storm, the keepers went down to the western landing to secure a supply crane and its ropes, which may have been damaged. A freak wave, enormous and unexpected, crashed over the cliff which stands over 150 feet above sea level and swept all three men into the churning Atlantic. This would explain why two of them were wearing their oilskins. Perhaps MacArthur, hearing their cries, rushed out to help without grabbing his coat, only to be taken by a second wave. It's a plausible, if tragic, accident, but it doesn't explain everything. Why was the door locked from the inside? Why was the dinner table set and the chair overturned? These details suggest the event happened suddenly, from within the lighthouse, not outside. At the Black Box, we always look closer, especially at the psychological toll of such extreme isolation. There's a documented phenomenon known as lighthouse fever, a form of madness where the crushing solitude, the incessant howl of the wind, and the maddening repetition of the light can shatter a person's mind. Did one of the keepers snap? Did a sudden violent argument over something trivial escalate into a moment of insanity, leading to a double murder and a final guilt-ridden leap into the abyss? It's a dark thought, but not impossible. Or could the answer lie in the island's folklore? Elon Moor was long considered a place of supernatural power, inhabited by spirits and phantom birds. Locals were superstitious and believed it was bad luck to spend the night there. Did the keepers, steeped in these old tales, fall victim to the island's ancient, malevolent will? The three men of Ellen Mortimer Marshall, James Ducat, and Donald MacArthur vanished into the mist of history. Their names remain etched in the logbook, a final testament to their service. But their bodies were never returned by the unforgiving Atlantic. Their disappearance is a powerful, grim reminder that sometimes the most dangerous enemy we face isn't the storm outside, but the one that rages within our own minds. Because when there's no one left to talk to, when the world shrinks to just three men on a rock, a man can begin to hear voices in the wind, and sometimes those voices tell him to do terrible things. This case remains open, a locked room mystery on a desolate island, its solution lost to the waves. I'm your host at the Black Box. Remember, some secrets are meant to stay submerged, so that the lighthouse flame never reveals what truly hides in the dark. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more journeys into the unknown.